Hola estudiantes, welcome back to Spanish with Levi. Today we're going to look at how I'd learn Spanish if I had to start over in 2025. This is going to be an English only episode. Later this week, we're going to have our Spanish only episodes. So I'm going to be alternating between an English only episode, either on Monday or Tuesday, and then on Thursday or Friday, we're going to be doing our Spanish immersion episodes, okay? So in case you guys didn't know, I'm doing a little bit of a new format here with the podcast. Also, wanted to let you guys know I missed last week, maybe like the past 2 weeks, because I've been moving. I moved from California out to Las Vegas, Nevada. Big move. Big move and a lot of work. So I finally have an office. If it's a little echoey for this episode, guys, I'm sorry. I have wood floors in here. I'm going to have to get a rug and to eliminate some of the echo. So bear with me, but the information you'll be getting from this episode, I think, will be definitely helpful, regardless of how it sounds. Bueno, chavos, before we dive into today's episode, just wanted to mention that I have a website, Spanish with Levi. I'm on social media at Spanish with Levi. And if you want to watch this on YouTube, this is on YouTube, or just listen to the podcast, okay? That's totally your decision. I have courses, I have one-on-one coaching. If you're interested in that, let's work together. Bueno, vamos a empezar el episodio del día. So how I learned Spanish if I had to start over in 2025. Here's a little step-by-step blueprint of what I would do if I woke up tomorrow and I was no longer fluent in the language and, I wanted to but I had all the knowledge of like how to go about doing a very efficient and effective process. This is what I would do, okay? So number one, I would be listening a ton. Listening to a ton of Spanish is key. And I think this is kind of an overlooked aspect of language learning in general. Most people think about grammar, they think about conjugating verbs, they think about memorizing, thousands and thousands of vocab words and expressions. I think listening is highly, highly underrated, and it's something that I would give a lot of attention to if I was in your shoes. And what you can be doing with listening is everything from podcasts to telenovelas, which I'm a big fan of for learning Spanish, doing the news podcast or just news TV channels. There's all sorts of channels out there, like streaming services, Netflix, VIX Plus is it's basically like a Latino Netflix. So that's really, really useful, really powerful to have this like massive library of Spanish content that you can access anytime. Great for listening. I think that there's just so many things out there. I could dive into that in a different episode of just straight up listening content. But yeah, make sure you're doing a sufficient amount of that. Because in reality, what I always think of with listening is that if you're trying to learn a language, you're essentially trying to mimic native speakers who have mastered it. So what you need to be doing is to be listening and spending as much time as you can around them so that you're then able to mimic. I always thought it was hilarious, like your typical Spanish class, the teacher will give you grammar, vocabulary, all right, go, start learning. It's like, well, the reality is you need to, just like a baby does, just like a child does, you need to be listening to hours and hours and hours and hours, hundreds of hours of the pros doing it, native speakers doing it, right? To be able to very effectively try to produce the same sounds and the same sort of language flow. So keep that in mind. That's number one. Number two is going to be Spanish, Pimsleur Spanish, and Duolingo. This is going to be a great way to build a really good foundation in vocabulary and in grammar. So make sure you're doing both of these. Pimsleur Spanish is like mostly audio focused, but they have a great app too. Duolingo is a really nice app. Most people know what Duolingo is. Desktop app, iPhone app, tablet app, whatever you want to do. I think it's boring if you're just doing Duolingo. Some people love it and they're really into it. But just for me personally, I think that you just treat them as a tool. Pimsleur Spanish, you're going to be doing your audio lessons every day. That gets you speaking, it gets you thinking, it gets you listening in Spanish. The app is great for when you just have some downtime, go through some flashcards, review some things. And Duolingo is great for practicing building sentences. Sometimes the sentences are like really silly and weird, but you get some practice building sentences, and you're going to learn kind of intuitively how to structure the sentence using different grammar forms, which I think is really cool. And again, it's a tool. It's a tool. So use those. I wouldn't go too crazy on the apps. I like keeping it very simple when it comes to apps, because if you just get overflowed and that's all you do is just sitting there and messing with playing around with apps, the reality, you're not going to get very far and becoming fluent in the language. And number 3, Mexican Spanish phrase book is something that I have right here. If you're watching the YouTube video, this is the book that I have right here. It's from Lonely Planet, super thin book. It's kind of cool that it focuses specifically on Mexican Spanish. I don't know if they do that for other dialects or not. I have no idea. But I like this one a lot because it gives you a ton of phrases that you can study, you can practice reading, you can start creating flashcards, and in the back you have a really, really nice, what do we call it? Dictionary. You have a really nice dictionary that is just like, it's not super extensive. It's just the essential, most common words, verbs, things like that. So this is a great reference. I don't recommend buying a ton of books outright for learning Spanish, but this is one of them. And the next thing you can do with this is you can start creating mini scripts. So this will get you prepared to be having conversations. So what mini scripts are basically like flashcards, or you can have it like be separate pieces of paper, but I like larger index cards where you're basically going to be jotting down. For example, one index card can be focused on talking about your work, what you do for a living. The next one can be talking about what you do for typically in your daily routine. The next one can be your hobbies. The next one can be your food preferences, what you like to eat. All the basic things about yourself that you like inevitably have to learn how to say eventually. You want to create these mini scripts so you can study them, and almost like you're rehearsing for a movie. And then whenever you are in conversation, which is going to be step 4, you're going to be able to have conversations. You can use those as cheat sheets, have them laid out in front of you. When you're doing online practice, online classes, you can have them in front of you. And then after class, you can edit them, you can review them, you can study them, you can update them. And I just think it's a great way to have this little, 10, 20, 30 mini scripts that you're memorizing over time. It's a really effective way to go about it. Number 4, excuse me. Number 4 is going to be to take classes online, conversation classes. This is not like jumping on and doing grammar. You don't need that right this second. What you want to do is to begin practicing live everything that you've been working on. So you want to be doing italki classes. And it can be italki.com. It can be preply.com. There's all sorts of different services you can look where they offer one-on-one speaking conversations. And even if it was in a group, that's not the worst thing in the world. The thing is here is you want to start using and implementing everything you're learning, the mini scripts, the stuff you've been working on. You want to practice it, and you're gonna suck when you start out. If you've never had conversations in Spanish before, you're gonna really struggle, and it's gonna be tough. But just push through it. Just speak. Think of yourself as a baby. Think of yourself as a toddler, and your first words are gonna be jumbled and to you as an adult, it's gonna sound pathetic, but it's okay. Just keep pushing through. Number 5 is gonna be study notes from your conversation. Make sure you're taking notes. Get the teacher to take notes, and you're gonna study after class, right after class or the next day. Review what you're learning. Review the vocabulary you're acquiring. Review everything that you can. And what I recommend starting to do is using this book, Essential Spanish Grammar by Seymour Resnick. It's a very thin, little tiny book. Start learning grammar in chunks, little by little by little. So study your notes from your classes and start doing like 15 minutes a day, 15 minutes every other day of this book, and just reviewing and starting to get familiar with all of the core grammar tenses, verb tenses. Learn what a preposition is. Learn what an indirect object pronoun is, all these things. But it's going to take time. You need to give yourself time to study. You need to give yourself, your brain, time for it to absorb. Okay? It takes time. It takes time. And the last thing is to repeat the cycle. Okay? So the repeating the cycle, do all these things and ensure you're listening a ton. Review these 2 apps. Keep trying to make them a part of your everyday routine. Studying your phrase book, creating mini scripts, refining your scripts, having online classes, or if it's in person, that's okay too. But like once to twice a week, speaking to someone using a language, studying your notes after class, studying grammar, and repeating everything. One last thing I'll say here is if you want to, one thing that I recommend is maybe getting your hands on the 501 Spanish verb book. It can be useful because that's one of the challenges with Spanish is there's so many conjugations, verb conjugations, so many. So that's something you can do later on is to get that and to start, just have it as a handy reference. I think you can't go wrong with it. There's websites now that have essentially this information. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they exist. Type in verb conjugation website and you'll have that. And then the last thing I'll say is whenever you're able to, go to Latin America or go to Spain on a trip at the bare minimum. If you can, go to a language school in Latin America or Spain. Not everyone can do this. Not everyone can afford this. Not everyone has time for this. I completely understand. But this is like the final step that will absolutely, it will, even in a month's time, take your Spanish to another level. 2 weeks is good. 2 weeks, you'll get a lot out of it. A month, 2 months, 3 months will take your current level to another level, guaranteed, because you're immersed. And a lot of these schools do a great job of really immersing you, giving you hours and hours and hours of conversation practice and instruction and just straight up immersion. So it's awesome. I had experience doing that back in the day. Thank God. It really, really did help me a lot. So that's what I recommend. And then again, at the end, repeat the cycle. Think of it as I call it the fluency wheel. Repeat, repeat, repeat. And the main thing is have fun, stay motivated. If you start getting burned out, take a break, change something, whatever you got to do, but don't quit. Like just make sure you keep your motivation high. You stay happy. You're still having fun with it. If you're looking for motivation, maybe try dating someone that speaks Spanish, or try to take a trip to a Spanish-speaking place, or to start listening to a lot of Spanish music, or to start a series and get into that. But keep the motivation up, keep the cycle going, and it's like it's a great thing because it's an inevitable system that will lead you to greater and greater success with learning Spanish. So that's all I have for this episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for the next episode, which will be in Spanish. And I had to postpone this episode, so this is going to be dropping on a Tuesday instead of a Monday. But typically these English episodes are going to be on Mondays. But crazy when you move. If you've moved to a different state, you know how much work it is. So I had to do what I had to do. Bueno, nos vamos a ver en el próximo episodio. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Y nos vemos. Adiós.